What were your thoughts when you saw Rhea for the first time?
I thought Rhea was unlike any girl I had seen before at my other schools. She was drop dead gorgeous. All I wanted was to get to know her more until I found out that she was unavailable because she was dating Zach.
What was the first day at your new school like?
The first day at the new school made me realize I would have to work to make friends harder than I used to.
Why do you think the author added so much suspense for youth in the City Hall scene?
Because I was afraid of being seen by my dad. Unfortunately, my dad spotted me from afar, but then a man carrying a box started to leave the building and approaching me and my dad. I ran and hid.
What made you have to change your identity, and why couldn't you tell anyone about your previous identities?
My dad's previous jobs had us change our identity, and we could not tell anyone our old identity because of the bad things my dad used to do.
How did it make you feel about the things your dad did in his previous jobs?
Things my dad did at his previous job did not make me feel good because it would always make us have to move and change our identity.
What made you want to follow your dad after your parents fought?
I was curious on where my dad was going to make sure he wasn't going to cheat on my mom by meeting up with another woman.
Why did you keep so many secrets from Eli?
Well, you see, since I have moved so much, thanks to my dad's job, I have trust issues, and I didn't know if I could trust Eli yet.
How has moving affected your life so much?
Moving has severely affected my life because I have had to change my identity, including my name, so many times.
Thank you so much, Nick, for coming in and letting me interview you today.
It was my pleasure.
How could you have added more suspense throughout the first half of the book?
Well, I could have added more suspense throughout the first half of the book by having more evidence against Dustin's family in the killing of Eli, and not so much just on the mayor, who's Dustin's dad, because when the mayor picked Nick up from the jail, it made the readers suspicious that it was the mayor that killed Eli.
Where did you get the idea for this book?
I got the idea for this book in a dream I had one night, and I woke up the next morning and wrote all aspects from the dream I could remember down. Then created this book shortly after.
Why did the mayor take Nick after Nick was able to leave jail?
The mayor picked up Nick from jail so Nick would think that the mayor was just a nice person and that he was not linked to the death of Eli.
Where did you get the characters' names from?
Since I could not remember the names of the characters in my dream, I used characters from my childhood. The not so nice characters, I used bullies from my elementary school. And the nice kids Nick was friends with were some of my elementary school friends.
Why did you decide to put the death of Eli in the middle of the book instead of closer to the end?
I wanted more room to have Nick try to figure out what happened instead of just jumping to conclusions of who and why.
But could you have changed in the part of the book where Nick was talking to Dustin to add more depth?
Well, I could have had Dustin talk more to Nick about Eli before Nick's mom called, so I could have delayed the call or had Nick and Dustin talk earlier.
When describing the death of Eli, why did you use so much imagery?
The death is a very important aspect in the book, and the more imagery an author includes when writing, the easier it is for a reader to understand and have a better vivid picture of the book.
What was your greatest challenge in creating this book?
The greatest challenge I faced was trying to put all the aspects of my dream into the book to make it the best I possibly could. All I really wanted to do was to make sure that this book turned out as well as it could. So I had to change a couple of things, but I tried to keep with the storyline of the dream.
Thank you so much, Lamar, for coming and letting me interview you today.
Aw, thanks for having me.
Losing your identity is a very hard thing. Without your identity in the world, and with no one to help you, you can feel lost. People that have an identity crisis don't remember their personality. They know their physical appearances most of the time because that is one of the easier things. All they have to do is look in the mirror. To regain your identity, you will need people to tell you about yourself or watch multiple videos with you in them when you're happy, if you want to be the same. Some people lose their identity because they don't want to be that person anymore, and they think trying to change your identity can help. For some people, it might help, but they will struggle to find their happiness. Everyone has hard times in their life, and some people have harder times than others. You just need to have people to talk to. If you don't have anyone to go to, someone along the way will listen to you and help you. There are so many people in the world that have gone through this, and most of them are telling their story now. And they're trying to help everyone that they possibly can.
What is an identity crisis?
An identity crisis is when someone is questioning.
Why do you think some people want to change their identity?
They want to see if being someone else will have a positive impact on their life.
How do you think losing your identity can affect your life?
Losing your identity can affect your life because you have to start all over again when you're trying to become a new person.
What do you think causes an identity crisis?
Traumatic events or not wanting to be who you are.
What is an identity crisis?
An identity crisis is when someone is confused about who they are and they're trying to recreate themselves.
Why do you think some people want to lose their identity?
To become something better than what they were before.
How do you think losing your identity can affect your life?
Losing your identity affects your life by the decisions you make and how you treat yourself and others.
What is an identity crisis?
An identity crisis is when someone loses their identity due to a dramatic accident.
What do you think causes an identity crisis?
An accident.
Why do some people want to change their identity?
In order to become a new person.
How do you think losing your identity can affect your life?
Losing your identity by accident can have you try to regain your previous thoughts and actions.
What is an identity crisis?
An identity crisis is when your identity is stolen from you or something of the sort.
How do you think losing your identity can affect your life?
If you lose your identity, you basically lose everything you know and you have to start a new life.
What do you think causes an identity crisis?
If there were to be an accident or you lost your memory, then you would have to kind of make a new life because you don't remember who you are.
Why do you think some people want to lose their identity?
If you don't like who you are as a person, or if you just want to start over and like completely remake yourself, then I guess you could have a new identity.
An identity crisis is pretty much when you lose your sense of self. I think it can cause a great deal of emotional trauma, especially with dealing with a teenage situation where you really don't know what you like or who you are and you're just trying to find yourself. It can be a multitude of things. It can be something as simple as like just trying to find out what you like, or something as dramatic as finding out who your friends are, who you want to date, and like what situations you're willing to get into and stuff. I think some people have a desire to become different people because they don't like themselves, because they have, issues that they need to resolve within themselves.
It's like whenever you lose your identity or like you don't know who you are, or you change who you are. You won't know who you are, and like people won't know who you are, and you like a mistake, or like if you get in an accident and you just don't remember who you are, or like you do something bad and you want to change. If like they made a mistake or something and they like don't want people to know who they were, or like they're just like not proud of them old selves.
An identity crisis to me is whenever you lose your identity in things that don't make you who you are. I think a reason that some people want to lose their identity is because they're insecure.
An identity crisis is when you don't know yourself and you don't know your path. You don't really know who you are, or you're not confident in yourself. So. Identity crisis is like when someone's being bullied or something, when they feel insecure and don't really know themselves, or if someone's in a car crash or brain damage. Lose their identity because they are trying to run away from something, or like did something bad, don't like themselves, they feel insecure about themselves, that's why they want to lose their identity.
Crisis is when someone, or maybe like a brand or company, doesn't really know what they are, what they stand for. I think losing your identity can affect your life because you may feel like you're just mixed in with a group, or that nobody knows that you exist.
What made you stop?
I turned.
Thank you so much, Samar, for